So, anyway, if you're using the flaring block like this, here we have. How do you set it? Well, how high up? Well, this is how we learn. The nickel. So I throw a nickel in the thing here and use this as a gauge. You want that even with the top of that pipe. And you can do that with, with the feel. You can feel the top of that pipe right about where it's supposed to be. Now I tighten one end. Okay, I'm even Steven. Then, okay, that's good and tight. Now I'm a little bit above the space of a nickel. Then you take this guy here, you back it off all the way, a couple of drops of vacuum pump oil, put it on the head, lubricate this, and then you would press on this here. You take it and you give her a spin to the side till it locks in. Oop. You get it off to the center. You get it down fairly close. And then what I like to do is I put it in and then give it a twist. That'll center it directly on the pipe. Then give it half a twist, back it off. 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 Now, if too much of my pipe was sticking out, then this nut won't go around it. When you go up to go up here like this, it'll come up and it'll get stuck right there on the threads if you mashed it down too far. But as you can see, I got plenty on here. And it goes all the way to the bottom. And I don't think you're going to be able to see that, but it's nice and smooth all the way around. And the top edge is nice and thick all the way around. Now, if I'm to go ahead and put this on a liquid line filter dryer, they're made of steel. And copper and steel, they're not a good match. So I use flare gaskets. I'll take a flare gasket, I'll put it on that male side with a little bit of nylon just to hold it in place. You put the nylon and you use it like glue. Put a little bit on the face of it. You stick this on there. So that's on. Now that's stuck on. And what I'll do is I'll pull this back like this, push that onto the dryer so it doesn't move. Then I'll come up here and I'll start threading it on. It'll eventually get up to here. And what I like to do is put a little bit of oil on the back side of the bell on this and lubricate this like that. What does that do? It provides a lubricated surface between that surface down there and this copper here. So you won't get those jerky movements like that when you're tightening up your flare nut. It goes nice and smooth on there. It'll go on really easy. If you like nylon on the threads of the dryer, you can do that. It doesn't really do anything except maybe slip on a little easier. More of a lubricant than anything. Now, then when you get it threaded on, you use a wrench like this. Now, this one here doesn't fit here, but this is a special, it's called a flaring wrench. And it's not a box end, it's not an open end. is a semi-open end. It's like halfway between. And what they did is they took a notch out on the end here so that you're able to grip more of a nut. With an open end wrench, you only grab like 2 corners. With this one here, you're going to grab at least 4 or maybe 6 corners. You're going to grab, quite a bit of that nut. What difference does that make? Well, a lot of times with flaring nuts, they're soft, and especially with the plumber ones, not the ones that are forged. We use forged nuts, and that's called a forged nut, a real thick shoulder. One with a long taper on it, those are the ones that the plumbers use on water. This tool here is used because sometimes on those flare nuts, they can go ahead and they're very soft copper, so they can, fall off the wrench there. And once they get stripped like that, they're hard to get your wrench back on there and stop stripping. So what this does is it prevents the strip. You can basically slip it on like this, bring it up, and then tighten. And that's what that wrench is used for. It's a specialty wrench. Sometimes what some guys like to do is when they make their flares, after they have that burr on there, they use a rat tail file just to go ahead and take that out so that they don't have what a lot of guys use are these type of strippers. Now these ones here go ahead and they take it out that way. But this one here will make it's a rougher surface. The rat tail file will go ahead and you can almost make it flat. So personal preference on that. But they're all types of cutters too, and different. There are also different type of flaring tools. This one here, this is made by Ritchie, and you have to be open and listen to other mechanics. When they tell you they found something they like and it's good and they really sold it, it might be worth experimenting with, and trying. That's where I found this one here. Some guy from Philadelphia came to work with our company, and boy, he didn't have that tool with him, and he wanted that tool so bad. He said all the other ones, he said they're terrible. And he loves this one here. Now this one here has a stop on it, so that comes up here and goes like right to where the middle of the pipe is. It's got these things rotate for different sizes of pipe. So what you do is you stick your pipe in here, up to the stop, then you push this down, and then you got to hold it like that. Now you got it held. Then all you do is you bring this guy over, you tighten it up, and then you take this, and that's automatically centered. When you take this arm and push it over, it takes the stop and pulls it out of the way. Half. And this one here has that knurled nut-like. That yoke, it burnishes the edge. Okay, we're all done here. This thing makes flawless flares. It does. It really does a good job. It's a little hard getting used to, learning how to hold this down so that when you go ahead and bring this one up. But with a little practice, it's not hard. And that makes just an absolutely beautiful flare. And it fits perfect every time. I've never made a bad flare with that one. So that's the flaring block. Now, if you look on here, you'll see there's a groove. What's that groove for? Well, if you're on a pipe and you make a bad flare, or there's an existing flare and you want to remove that flare and reflare it, well, that's where this comes in. That groove is where the flare goes in. Flare goes inside that groove, and this comes up. Yeah, this is the other thing. and then you go ahead and you just take this here and you cut it off. But right now it's too, I don't have a pair of pumps with me here. I'd grab with a wrench and turn it around. But that's what that's for. Now, there's other type of flares, is what we call the double flare. Now, the double flare, that's this block right here. And as you can see, you take these two together, put these down here, you can see this is about, well, I'll tell you, this is not double the thickness of this one here, but darn near. And it's a high quality. This was like $146 I paid for this. And that was 7 or 8 years ago. Now, and here's what you get. You get this, and you get this, and you get a multitude of different size inserts. And what you do with this one is you stick this in here. You got this up, tightened up, and then you stick it up. You use this little head. Let's say this is the pipe the size pipe you're going to use. This is the thickness gauge that you're going to bring above the flaring block. And you bring that right to it. You push it down to where it extends that far above, and you tighten it up. Then you take this piece and you stick it inside the pipe. And then you tighten this down on top of the pipe. Where's that? What did I do with that piece of copper? So, if this is inside the flaring block, this would go like inside of it like that. And then you push down on this. And what it does is it crimps it inwards like a little bit. It starts to crimp this way, about halfway. And then you back it off, and what you do is you take that and you mash it all the way down until it's flat like that. And then you take it out, and then you take this and you put this in there and you mash it down the rest of the way. And what you have is a double thickness of copper. It's very similar to the flare gasket. Very similar to the flare gasket. So if you're going to use, anytime you're going copper to steel, mainly copper to steel, it's recommended that you use a double flare or a flare gasket. Flare gaskets, well, not everybody carries those either. A lot of people look at it, they don't know what you're talking about. Always use that lubricant. This is an old applicator I had for fields control motors. I used it all, and it was a good container. And so I put, rather than toss it out, I put it in, put some refrigeration oil in here and keep it inside here with my flaring block. So it ends up being a pretty good tool. And let me see what else I might talk about. Okay. Oh, some of the things that are available on the market. These here by JB. Other manufacturers make them too, I'm sure. Some guys, they don't like messing with those. So what they'll do is you can solder these or braze these onto your copper, and then the flare, you got the flare nut right there. So you can use that flare. Some people don't like doing flares. I haven't had any flares leak on me. I really haven't. Especially if I lubricate them. I put a little. You can use Leak Lock, Nylog, any of those to help us seal those threads on there. And I like to get just a little film. I'll like put it on the face of it, and then almost wipe it off, so that there's you can't even see it on there. But if there's any small grooves in there, it'll fill those little grooves. and then a little bit of oil